Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this virtual inauguration of the biogas plant of Gasum at the Stora Enso Nymölla paper mill in Sweden. This event is brought to you jointly by Stora Enso and Gasum with a view to showing the world another inspiring example of how we can meet our sustainability goals, and in this instance, how we can turn processed water into renewable green energy. My name is André Noël Chaker, and I have the great honor and pleasure of serving as your host for this special event. We invite you to participate in this event by sending us your questions and your comments through the function that is under the streaming window. So please be active. We welcome these questions so that we can bring them up with our speakers throughout our event and our inauguration today. We will also have polls during the event, and you can participate in those polls by going, again, under the stream window, and there you will find a button called Participate. You can participate in those polls by pressing that button. It is great to see two industrial leaders have this common vision and come together to take us closer towards a carbon-neutral future. We begin our event with the Executive Vice President at Stora Enso Paper, Kati ter Horst. Welcome.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear customers and stakeholders of Stora Enso and Gasum, dear press and Minister Bolund, very warmly welcome to our today's virtual event to inaugurate Gasum's biogas plant at our Nymölla mill in Sweden. Sustainability is extremely important for Stora Enso. And if we look at our strategy is very much driven by the mega trends that we see around us in the society. And the most important mega trend is the need to combat climate change. At Stora Enso, sustainability is in the core of our strategy as a global renewable materials company. And we are actually the first forest industry company that committed to the science-based target to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions. If we then look at the forest, we are one of the biggest forest owners in the world, and we want to take good care of our forest. Forests are actually forming the foundation for our value creation and the beginning part of the renewability for the circularity. Our main raw material, trees, grow back in the sustainable forest, and growing trees actually absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Sustainable forest management secures that forests grow more than we harvest. It protects biodiversity in the forest and helps to combat global warming. With our long experience in circular solutions and in renewable, recyclable material, we are at Stora Enso in a unique position to drive the transition to circular bioeconomy. Also, thanks to the fact that forest and our renewable products store carbon and provide an alternative to fossil-based materials, we actually, as a company, our total climate impact is positive. Then if we look at our products, our solutions are helping to combat the global warming by helping our customers to find alternatives to their material challenges. We offer consumers renewable alternatives to replace fossil-based materials, for instance in packaging and in a construction area, where the wooden buildings store carbon dioxide for many, many years to come. With the ever-growing e-commerce, it calls for strong and efficient and sustainable packaging that safeguards the product but also reduces packaging waste. And at the same time, many of the retailers are looking for ways to be more circular overall in their business. Then in the transportation industry, innovative ways to apply bio-based carbon fiber, for instance for energy, aviation and automobile end uses, are being developed in Stora Enso. Then if we look at our own operations, how can we take care of the environment in our own activities? The key here is resource efficiency, to make sure that we use the minimum amount of materials and that we also produce the minimum amount of waste. Actually today, 98% of the residuals from our processes are being used for energy production, internal energy production, and in our pulp making process. Or then we use partners that can help us, for instance, to use these materials in agriculture or, for instance, in road construction. In our industry, we use also a lot of water. But it's important to remember that 97% of the water that we use is actually returned back to the source after very careful purification. Then when it comes to our own fuel use in Stora Enso, 82% is based on biomass. This biomass coming from the residuals from our own processes or then from harvesting waste or some other waste material that we are able to utilize for the bioenergy. We work very hard every day to make our products even more sustainable. Here in the picture you see our flagship office paper product, Multicopy, from our Nymölla mill. And we offer this paper grade also as a carbon neutral paper. Our paper crates, they carry one or more environmental labels. For instance, the Nordic Swan, the European Eco Label, or then in Germany, the Blue Angel. This confirms our commitment to sustainable raw materials and production. In our quest to combat the climate change, we are really looking for like-minded partners to help us to do even more and bigger things together. And I'm today extremely proud to present the cooperation that we have with Gasum at our Nymölla mill. We enable Gasum to produce liquefied biogas based on our effluent water and to offer a true sustainable alternative for the transport sector. I really hope that our logistic partners would also switch to biogas and in that way also reduce the environmental impact of transportation for our products. Thank you so much for joining us today, and once more, a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Kati, for that inspiring opening with all the great work that you do.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we all are, I think. It's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is a great partnership that we're celebrating today. But a company of your size, I'm sure, has many other partnerships now in the making. So how many more partnerships like the one you have with Gasum are you now working on?
There are, of course, many, luckily, and I think very, very many more to come. But now that we are today also discussing Nymölla mill, maybe there's another one I could mention that is also soon taking place at that mill. So we have a cooperation called 3to Textile, where we are working, for instance, with Hennes & Mauritz and IKEA to produce sustainable raw material for the textile industry. And that pilot is starting soon. And then maybe a bit related to Gasum, we cooperate in Belgium with our Langebrugge mill with Volvo cars. And there we are actually supplying our extra heat to their painting plant and therefore reducing their CO2 emissions quite a lot. So 2 examples to mention.
Exciting partnerships for an exciting future. Thank you again, Kati. And now, biogas is part of the global solution to move faster towards our carbon neutral future and our carbon neutral world. The transformation process of processed water into what is happening at Nymölla, into biogas, is an exciting development in meeting the world's sustainability goals. So, to tell us more about this, we have the CEO of Gasum, Johanna Lamminen. Tervetuloa.
Good virtual afternoon to everybody. My name is Johanna Lamminen and I'm the CEO of Gasum, a Nordic energy company. It's a pleasure to be with you here today and share the great achievements Nymölla plant opening with all of you. Special thanks to Minister Bolund and the Swedish government for their participation in today's ceremony, as well as their continuing support of the development of biogas market in Sweden. Today, obviously, is a happy day for Gasum and Stora Enso, as well as all the customers who can now start using liquid biogas produced at Nymölla. The biogas plant we are opening today in Nymölla is part of something big as well, something that will determine the future. In recent years, climate change has become a major, if not the most important challenge in our societies. The fact is that the climate change is not something that will happen or might happen in the future, distant future. It is actually something that we are starting to see and experience already today. Here in the Nordics, we have understood for a long time that the climate change is a real threat, and that the beautiful nature that we have needs to be protected for the future generations. One key element of the climate change mitigation is the transition towards circular economy. Today, circular economy is becoming part of everyday business for many Nordic companies. And in recent years, we have been seeing increasing number of different circular economy solutions that involves around the production of biogas. Production of biogas is actually a wonderful example of the circular economy. We take different biodegradable waste streams from municipalities, households, or industrial side. We turn these waste streams into the renewable gas, biogas, that will be then used to replace more pollutant fossil fuels in road transportation and industrial sector. Nutrient residues from the biogas productions are utilized as a fertilizers in agricultural use, and using recycled fertilizers, reducing the need of the use conventional artificial fertilizers. Our customers want to be part of the solution. They want to help to meet the challenges we face. And we at Gasum want to help them. With projects such as Nymölla, we can help our customers to meet their emission reduction targets and can help also the Swedish road to become green and the ships in the sea to become cleaner. We can also help industry to become part of the circular economy. In Europe, the role of renewable gases is going to increase significantly over the coming decades. In the Nordics, the biogas market has been developed rapidly, and some of our examples, as the Nymölla biogas plant, are examples that the rest of the Europe should follow. Over the past years, Gasum has invested significantly in the Nordic gas ecosystem and the production of biogas. In 2025, we will offer 4 terawatt-hours of sustainable produced biogas for our customers here in the Nordics. From our perspective, the future of the gas looks good and green. I want to take the opportunity to thank Stora Enso for their strong support in making this project a reality. The cooperation between our companies has been excellent. I also want to thank Gasum team for involvement with this project and their hard work and dedication. Your brilliant work makes me to be proud of your CEO. And finally, I wish to thank the Swedish government and the local authorities for their strong support in this biogas development, a support that is crucial for a green transition both now and in the future. Funding from Klimatklivet ensures that the Nymölla biogas plant was built, and it's also enabler more and more companies to switch their logistics from diesel to liquefied biogas produced at Nymölla.
The future is looking good and green.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for that beautiful opening. What exciting things you are doing at Gasum. Can I ask you, what other types of these types of biogas plants are you planning over the next years?
Yes, as I mentioned already, we have been investing quite significantly in the biogas. We have 17 biogas plants operating in the Nordics already, and there's more to come. Gas companies need to play their part in this game. We need to bring cleaner energy to our customers, which actually means that the natural gas has to become a renewable gas, and biogas plays a crucial role, particularly in the Nordic in this game. And we have this week already also made a public announcement that we have received Klimatklivet funding for our Skåne biogas plants, and there will be a investment decision coming in the future, and the plants, there will be 2 plants, and they will produce 120 gigawatt hours each of them. So there will be more to come.
Wow, that's a massive development. We will be very, very excited to see all of these come to fruition. But soon we will be celebrating this particular partnership. But ladies and gentlemen, as many of us know, Sweden is leading the world in many areas of sustainable growth. And we now have the great honor and pleasure of having Sweden's Minister for the Environment and Climate as our guest speaker today. He is also the Deputy Prime Minister of Sweden, Mr. Per Bolund. Can you hear us, Mr. Minister?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And thank you for that kind introduction. And on the behalf of the Swedish government, I am of course thrilled to see the completion of the Stora Enso and Gasum's joint investment for biogas production in Nymölla. It's a great step forward. And I'm also glad to see that the Climate Leap, as we heard, that was introduced by the government to co-finance climate investments, is now making it possible to have yet another cost-effective project that contributes to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions within the transportation and industry sectors. And to my understanding, the biogas that is produced from this facility alone will reduce greenhouse gas emissions with the equivalent of about 200 long-distance trucks on an annual basis, which is amazing. And this is a very important part of the reductions needed to reach the Swedish climate objectives that we're leading. And this plant also contributes to the domestic production of sustainable biogas, and that in turn increases the Swedish self-sufficiency of fuels, which is also very helpful. I have been told that this investment reduces greenhouse gases above the average for new biogas investments within the Climate Leap program. So ingenuity and bold investments are crucial for Sweden's contribution to the global ambition to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This, of course, cannot be done by a single actor alone. Businesses, as well as the public sector, needs to cooperate together. And apart from the Climate Leap, the government has therefore introduced several different supporting schemes, such as credit guarantees for green investments, and the industrial leap, which together with the climate leap aims to stimulate investments that reduce greenhouse gas emissions from Swedish businesses. And to our great happiness, this has led to a series of climate-driven large industrial investments in Sweden, such as not one, but two different industries for steel production using hydrogen instead of coal, the largest battery factory in Northern Europe, and also large-scale investments in production of electric vehicles in Sweden. In addition, the government is also processing the proposals from the inquiry on the biogas market. And here the government sees great potential in biogas, and we have the ambition to continue to promote upgrading of biogas for use in our industries and also in the transportation sector in the years to come. In our common ambition to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we also need to reduce emissions of pollutants to air and water. And in Nymölla, we now see an excellent example of a pioneering business model where Stora Enso and Gasum can cooperate to generate value from something that was previously seen as waste. Recycling of biomass to produce a renewable fuel is an innovative way to create circularity in our economic system. And that also decreases the need of additional biomass extraction. So this serves both to reduce waste flows and also to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases. I am a strong believer in the growth of a circular economic model, and this is an excellent example of that. We need to use our resources better, and this is really more of the investments that we see today that we need to see. The future of biogas has many different implications, and the need for renewable energy will not cease within the foreseeable future. We can still see obstacles to overcome before we can proclaim Sweden as the first fossil-free welfare nation. But today, I feel that we took one step closer to that objective. So with that, I am deeply honored to be able to take part in the inauguration of the biogas production plant in Nymölla. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Bolund, and what an exciting time we have. It would not be an inauguration without ribbon cutting. Isn't that right? Absolutely. So, together with these two great leaders, I'd like to count it down to 3, and we will declare the biogas plant in Nymölla officially open. Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
1, 2, 3, cut! Congratulations!
I thought we do this. Let's just take the whole thing.
Keep it together. Congratulations
to
your both companies, to everyone that made this possible. Why don't we go for a virtual tour of the facilities?
For our cooperation,
for our
Johanna.
cooperation. Yes, thank you, Kati.
Roll it.
This is where it all starts, with trees growing in a sustainably managed forest. Here at the pulp and paper mill in Nymölla, Sweden, Stora Enso and Gasum show the way in the circular economy by converting residue from the process water into renewable energy. The wood is taken to the mill, where it's chipped, made into pulp, and then turned into paper, a renewable material. In the process of turning wood into premium office paper, water is gradually removed. The paper is being wound and cut into reels, which are then sent to the copy paper packing line. A stream of residue water is sent to a buffer tank at Gasum's biogas plant next to the mill, where it is optimized with nutrients. The water is pumped into reactors where biogas is produced after organic materials are broken down by bacteria in an oxygen-free environment. The biogas is separated from the purified water, which flows back to the mill. The biogas now consists of methane, carbon dioxide, and some hydrogen sulfide. After being purified, upgraded, and polished, the biogas is cooled down to an average of minus 160 degrees Celsius and turned into liquefied biogas. The liquefied biogas is stored in an insulated tank before it's pumped to trailers. It is then transported to gas filling stations, for example, where it's used to fuel heavy-duty vehicles. The expected production of liquefied biogas at the plant is 75 to 80 gigawatt hours annually, an amount that will keep up to 200 lorries running for a whole year. By using liquefied biogas instead of fossil fuels, the greenhouse gas emissions can be reduced by up to 90%.
What a great looking facility. Again, congratulations to all of those who have made this possible. We now give the floor to some of the customers of this green energy and paper producing facility. We have 2 customer testimonials on how the Nymölla plant is transforming the energy and paper industries. We will first hear from major transportation industry leaders. We start with Susanne Frolin, who is the PR and Information Director from Volvo Trucks Sweden. The floor is yours.
What a hopeful and happy day to be inaugurating the new biogas plant in Nymölla today. A big thank you to Stora Enso for inviting us to participate. With our strong environmental focus at Volvo Trucks, we are proud that our trucks will be using the biogas produced in this circular way. Very many of our customers like our trucks running on liquefied gas, and that of course makes us very proud. It is great to see so many customers contributing to more sustainable transports. Volvo's range of the FM and FH models offer the same performance for long-haul transports and the same load capacity, very important for efficient transports. To drive on liquefied gas doesn't just lower your environmental footprint, but also the fuel costs. We have many testimonials from customers of a great fuel economy. We all want to contribute to lowering our environmental footprint. We at Volvo Trucks are very positive towards the initiatives that the authorities have taken to speed up the transition to carbon-neutral transports. In order for us as a nation to take further steps towards our ambitious climate goals, we need to secure production of biogas. We need to increase the production of biogas, and of course it is very positive to see more biogas plants open. This leads us back to the inauguration in Nymölla here today. What a time for us all to celebrate together.
Thank you so much, Susanne, for those wonderful words on what Volvo Trucks is doing for the environment. We will listen now to another testimonial from another biogas customer, and this is a dynamic duo of Henrik Dahlsen and Jessica Björnqvist from Scania. The floor is yours.
The climate challenge demands a new way of thinking and acting. We have to act smart and find effective solutions to different environmental problems: climate, air pollution, and waste. We can do that with biogas and biomethane, sustainably produced from any organic residues and used in trucks and buses.
Cutting emissions from the transport sector is one of our greatest climate challenges. To succeed, we need to use fuels with high greenhouse gas reductions. Scania's philosophy is to offer a fossil-free alternative for every transport solution. With biomethane, you can reduce emissions with up to 90% today.
Climate mitigation has to go hand in hand with resource efficiency. Recycling is truly sustainable. At Nymölla plant, residue water is used to produce climate-friendly fuel. Low climate and environmental impact and resource efficiency. It's a win-win situation.
Sweden is a world leader in waste to fuel, which Scania is using and promoting in our global sustainability work. This should be our next great fossil-free export to the world. Good luck with the new production plant for LBG in Nymölla.
Thank you to both of you from Scania for those valuable insights into your respective roles in creating and using sustainable solutions to decarbonate the operations of your industry. But we now have a very interesting discussion on the genesis and the significance of the Nymölla plant from experts representing both Stora Enso and Gasum. So let's welcome the mill director of the Stora Enso Nymölla mill. So we have Michael Lindemann online. Hello, Michael. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Great to have you online. We have the vice president of the office paper segment at Stora Enso, Jonathan Bakewell. Can you hear us, Jonathan?
I can. Thank you.
Great. And here in the studio with me is the vice president of the biogas business unit at Gasum, Johan Grön. And roll it. Welcome to all three of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so great to have all three of you discuss how this came about and what is the significance of this development for your respective customers. So let's start with the genesis of the project. How did this all come about? What was the driver for Stora Enso to engage in the biogas production? Michael, perhaps I can ask this from you, just to kick us off.
Yes, thank you, André. Well, we have been looking at this topic for more than 10 years as we saw the opportunity to break down our process water in order to create energy. We looked at producing biogas for our own usage in the beginning, but very soon it was evident for us that we had to look for a partner that is professional and profound, understand the refining and distributing of biogas. After a thorough investigation of the market, we partnered with Gasum, and the plant that has now been built, as you have already listened to, is able to produce biogas for fueling approximately 200 long-haul trucks. Or to put it another way, it would be the energy equivalent of fueling 7,000 to 10,000 normal family cars for a year.
Very exciting development indeed. Good things come to those who wait, even if it took 10 years, we're here finally. But how did the cooperation develop, Johan?
Yeah, we are very honored to be a part of this great development at Stora Enso Nymölla mill. And as Mikael pointed out, that this has been a long development inside of Stora Enso. And we joined this cooperation in 2015 when the discussion started. And then in 2017, in December actually, we made our investment decision to go ahead to build the plant. And this work started up then in midst of 2018. So as you see that it's a long development path, but I mean, now we are here at this very beautiful moment.
And Johan, you've been smiling all afternoon here in the studio, and I think I know why.
Why wouldn't I?
You've been doing interviews all day on this, and you're very happy about it, and I'm very happy to see that. But if we drill in deeper into the benefits of this venture, now, how would you describe the impact of the liquefied biogas being produced when considering creating value from the circular economy for Nymölla, Gasum, and the society at large? Perhaps we can start with you, Michael, on this one.
Well, as in all industries, industrial processes, we have an impact on society and the environment, and we are constantly trying to minimize the impacts from our operations. What we once saw as a waste material, we now see as a valuable raw material. And specifically for Nymölla, we have triple benefits. First of all, we can produce renewable green biogas, but also it can help us clean our process water. And thirdly, it can also use to replace fossil fuels in the environment, which is very helpful and good for society and great. That is just parts of what we are doing to be part of circular economy. Another aspect of the Nymölla mill is that we are supplying district heating to the nearby municipalities from excess heat in this industry.
Very exciting stuff. Johan, would you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I think that this is a great opportunity overall. That what we see right now is that we will produce now at the Nymölla up to 80 gigawatt hours of liquefied biogas. And that will, as Michael pointed out, it's a considerable amount of heavy-duty transportation vehicles that will be fueled with that amount for a year. And this is a good example of what is happening at the site. And already we see in Sweden that up to 55% of the fuel, let's say the gas fuel mix for these type of transportation vehicles is consisting of liquefied biogas. So it's an important step that already has been taken. And adding on top of that, there is a considerable reduction in different type of emissions. We already mentioned the CO2 part, up to 90% reduction. And then also in this type of, when using this fuel for heavy-duty vehicles, then in the emissions, there are no particulate matters, and also the sulfur dioxide is not present in the emissions. So they are adding on this different type of important things that is happening with this type of usage. And not to forget, this type of a fuel, liquefied biogas, is also quite easy to transport and to handle, so it will serve our geographical network of filling stations for these type of transportation vehicles.
Sounds like a very clean solution, just generally speaking. Beautiful. But can we delve a little bit deeper into that? If it's self-evident for you, but for everybody listening to us, going deeper into the differences between liquefied biogas is what we have here, and on the other hand, the other fuels used in transportation. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. If we go a little bit further back, I mean, we are starting from the circularity. The material that is being used for producing the liquefied biogas, where we are taking organic matter into the process and then producing the gas. That will then reduce the greenhouse gas emissions considerably, and taking then the well to wheel type of an approach. And here we see that it's a very important fuel also in the future in respect to the, let's say, long-haul transportation. If you are thinking then about more local transportation, public transportation, or let's say local distribution type of transportation vehicles, then probably the electrification will have an important part in that area.
I'm sure it will. Jonathan, I hope you're not getting bored. You've been too quiet now. So I'm going to ask you a question on the paper side. Specific benefits that you expect, for your customers to get from this approach, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for the question. And maybe it'd be a good moment to hear actually from one of our customers as how they value sustainability, and in particular this biogas initiative. So perhaps we could run the video from Canon.
Great, let's do that.
GeoSci philosophy, sustainability is a key factor in the way we operate at Canon. Whether when we develop a machine, produce consumables and spare parts, or when buying Canon media from the paper industry for our imaging supplies division. As a brand owner and distributor of Canon branded paper products, sustainability and environmental excellence have always driven us at Canon Imaging Supplies to add more value to our customers than just a great performing product with a strong brand and a fair price. For decades, it has been our strategy to limit the use of and impact on resources as much as possible. I think it's fair to say that over time, Canon has always been one of the early adopters of pushing the environmental boundaries together with the industry. We do this by focusing on every element of the value chain and not just limited to, for example, forest certification only. I think this is what connects Canon with Stora Enso so well. Both companies are frontrunners in their environmental ambitions and in the strategic actions that we take to continuously improve our footprint.
Thank you, Jeroen. Indeed, you can see that we've had a class-leading performance in sustainability for some time. And if I come back to the value that this brings for our resellers, our distributors of paper for office use, it enables their customers, the end users, you and I, if you like, at home, to be able to hit our carbon goals, our green targets, if you will, and that opens up opportunities for distributors and those organizations to improve their performance in that area. I mean, biogas is not the only thing that we do at Nymölla in terms of sustainability, and you heard from Michael about district heating, and we're still pushing. This is part of a journey that we are on towards what we describe as a fossil-free future. And one example of this is that we're innovating in relation to a simple thing like gluing our reams. We are changing the way we are gluing them to reduce the amount of adhesive we're using, which is a fossil material, by around about 50%, and yet increasing the strength of our seals in our reams. So clearly a benefit for consumers. So these might seem like small things, but they all add up and all make a contribution. And that is something, working with Stora Enso in office papers as a distributor, you really get a benefit from that.
Absolutely, Jonathan. And personally, I'm going to buy these papers and prioritize them. But how will the other customers, the millions of people out there who want to buy paper and sustainable paper, how do we make sure that they know that this paper has been involved in this kind of circular approach in producing liquefied biogas? How do we communicate this to the consumer?
The simple answer is to encourage people to buy Nymölla paper. That's the simple answer. But of course, it's a complex supply chain. And so what we have done to make that easier for people to understand how they can buy a paper that makes a positive contribution, we've created an icon that we call the Biogas Icon, and perhaps we can show that here. And it illustrates that we're working towards this fossil-free future. And you'll see that icon on our flagship brand, Multicopy, and that's where it will appear first. But all our paper production at Nymölla contributes towards the fossil-free future and generating biogas.
Well, let's test the theory, shall we, Jonathan, with our audience today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first poll question on this particular topic. If we could bring up the poll question that asks you the following. Do you think consumers and organizations would be more or less likely to purchase paper knowing it was a biogas generator? So go below the stream window under the button that says participate. You can participate in this more or less, and I believe neutral is one of the options there. There are three options. So one of those three, and we'll take a look at the results a little bit later. But now, as a don't show us now. We'll show. Tell us what the final score. It seems that's a bit of a leading slide now. Put it away, thank you. And then we'll look at it a little bit later. But now, looking at evidence, because I think everybody the media and partners are interested in evidence. So what evidence can we provide that the paper and fuel users value the circular approach and the green fuel produced at Nymölla? What kind of evidence are we looking at? Perhaps Jonathan can start us off with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually record the questions that we get from customers. We get a great many questionnaires on quite a variety of subjects. In fact, I think it's on average one a day, and that includes weekends, etc. So we get questions on forestry certification, ISO standards, chemicals use, REACH, corporate social responsibility, quite a wide array of questions. But the one question that's really now rising to the top of the list is questions related to reducing carbon footprint and impacts in general. And that's really growing quite quickly. And we see a trend towards a more holistic approach. So not just looking at one topic like forestry or social responsibility, but a total picture. And that very much is in line with the Stora Enso approach around this topic. And in terms of physical product, we see a great deal of interest in our product Multicopy Zero, which is a carbon balanced product, which is evidence that people are prepared to make consumers are prepared to make a choice to select a paper that has a positive impact.
Johan, more evidence on the biogas side?
Happy to do so. Yeah, from the biogas producer's point of view, I think that it's very important once again to say that organic residue, that's a really valuable raw material for our processes. And there are good examples here how you could say circular clusters have been formed around this that are gathering, for example, the organic material in food markets, for example, chains in that area, and then also dairy producers that want to provide their residue to the biogas production, but also use the green fuel then in their own logistic chains. And I think that that's a very important point. And when talking about circular clusters, then we should not forget the maritime sector, where you could think about cruise ships utilizing this type of a fuel and also providing the raw material, the valuable raw material to our production of biogas.
Thank you, Johan.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking a look at my iPad for questions, and I'm waiting for your questions and comments for our final Q&A with all of our leaders here in just a moment. So asking questions and comments from you, but I have a question for you to test your knowledge of the energy market. Let's see how well you do. You're not allowed to go to Google for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Try to guess the correct answer on this poll. Again, it's through the participate button that is under your stream window. And the question is as follows. What is the current total biogas production in the Nordic countries? All Nordic countries. Are we talking 5 terawatt hours per year, 10 or 20? Without looking into your Google, try to guess the right answer, and then we'll have more insights from our experts here for the Q&A. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move from our panel discussion to a general discussion with your questions and comments for all of our leaders and experts here in the studio. See you very soon. A few seconds, I think. Yes, roll it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here, and we asked Kati and Johanna to join us. Thank you for joining us again for a Q&A, entertaining your questions and comments. And we have at least one that came up, which was, what are the pros and cons of making biogas out of processed water from a paper mill? Very generic, very generic. Who would want to answer that first?
I can take that.
Yes.
There are only pros.
There are only pros, there are no cons. Okay, fine. Well, that's it.
But I think that I pointed out that in the end of our discussion that I mean organic residue, that's extremely important for our processes where we are producing the biogas. So I mean a rich process in that respect, that's I mean a highly valuable raw material. So I think that that's the pro part of that question.
Would you want to say a few words about this?
Yeah, I think, isn't this a wonderful example that how from all kinds of side streams you actually can produce energy, and that can be used for road transportation, make it more greener and cleaner. So I think it's a great example that what all kinds of process waters, waste streams and biodegradable waste and all that can be used for biogas production.
It seems to be a win-win situation. You wanted to add to this?
So don't waste it.
Yes.
Don't waste it.
Yeah.
I won't waste that. I wasn't supposed to say that. But I won't waste it. Absolutely. Very good point. But here's a forward-looking question, perhaps, again, on the biogas. We're going to come to the paper side soon. But here we have a biogas question here on how big is the demand for biogas today and for tomorrow?
Yes, I think, if I may.
Yeah, please.
May
yes.
I? Yes. It's we can see that there's an increased demand, and we can see new customers coming weekly. And it comes really from the fact that our customers wants to be a part of the solution. And their customers are demanding greenhouse gas emission reductions from our customers in their end products and in their logistics and outbound, inbound logistics and so on. And this is it's a great development if we see. It's not about, not about politics. It's about the customers of our customers willing to be part of this, one of the biggest challenges we have in our societies. And that's the reason why it is happening. And we at Gasum, we are, want to be also part of the solution, meaning that there's so many future, not even yet discovered ways of producing renewable gas. And that will gradually increase as well. Demand is increasing, so is the production.
A great development indeed. Shall we move on to a paper question? Perhaps we have one for and Jonathan, you're still with us, Jonathan, and we have Kati here to support you in these questions as well. So this one came in, and it's how big is? You showed the wood paper biogas logo. Is that available for all your customers at Stora Enso for reels and sheets as well?
I think I'm going to turn that to Jonathan to make sure I give a right answer. So he's more in the details on this one.
Yes, certainly it's something that, provided the paper is made at Nymölla, it's something that we could apply to the product. And the first product that we will apply it to is obviously our leading brand, Multicopy, our hero product. As we move further forwards, then there's other opportunities there. So please talk to me about it.
But and more generally at Stora Enso, what kind of customer communication about sustainability and that is embedded in products? Are there other such examples?
Embedded in products, of course, it's very much about the environmental labels that we have. And what some people maybe forget, that it's not only about where does the wood come from, it's covering the whole production process. So it's about kind of a very tight limits. What can you have as chemicals, how much water you can use for many, many areas, your emissions to air, emissions to water. So actually it's only the best companies that can reach, for instance, Nordic Swan. So it's not for everybody to reach. And then, of course, what we want to go further with is of course, the transportation area. So how are our products transported to our customers? And we use a lot of, ocean deliveries when we are out of the Europe, which is of course efficient way and sustainable way. But then when you are within Europe, within the continent, of course it's a lot of trucks. So the more trucks use sustainable fuels, the better also for our total carbon footprint for our products.
Shall we take a look at the results of our first poll and get your commentaries on the results of the first poll? Would people buy less, more, or neutral? Okay, 84% would buy more, and 16 are neutral. Nobody would buy less. It seems that we're preaching to the choir here. Does this surprise you? Do you think this would reflect what you would find in the general population? Kati?
No, it does not. I think what Johanna was also saying is that the demands from our customers to produce sustainable products and to continuously work on our carbon footprint, it's increasing. Those demands are increasing, and it comes back to the megatrends what we see. And luckily, we as a company like Gasum as well, we are in a good position to help our customers to improve their own sustainability performance by the products and services we offer. And that's why I'm not surprised about this result. And that's why also these kind of cooperations are extremely important for us. We can help each other to become more sustainable and help our customers to become more sustainable, which you couldn't do alone.
And that's the beauty of this event, really, is the collaboration across industries. It's very inspiring. And also, I don't know what the right answer was to the second poll question on the size of the market. Okay, now this is pretty. Now I have no clue which one. Don't tell us yet. So was it 5? Was it 10? Or was it 20? Now it seems that not the majority, but at least most people believed it was 10. I believe that the best persons to tell us the right answer would be Johan and Johanna. So tell us, educate us.
Actually, I mean, this is a beautiful result because 10 is the
10 was the correct answer.
That was the correct answer, and that is including then Sweden, Finland, Norway, and Denmark.
If I understood correctly, Denmark is ahead of the game here. Is that right?
Oh, that's basically half of that. So it's a pretty big production.
So that's good. The only way up for the other countries is up.
Yeah.
To improve that.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit into what this means in terms of the percentage of the entire gas market and going into the future.
Yeah, that's a good point here. That 10 terawatt hours, that seems like a pretty good number. But the total market for gas, then taking into account natural gas and also the biogas part, is roughly 140 terawatt hours in these, calculating these countries together in the Nordics. So it's roughly 7% out of the total. That is the current amount of biogas that is being produced in the Nordics. And then what we see then when looking at, I was alluding to the raw material situation and what is the potential then. So we see the potential in the same areas then to grow up to 30, a little bit more than that in a foreseen future.
I have an efficiency question again on gas. It seems that gas is winning the battle here on the Q&A. I'm sorry. It seems that everybody is interested. I'm sorry. As soon as there is a paper question from our audience, I will ask it from you. I promise. Yeah. But there's an efficient. We already mentioned this and that it is more efficient. But they seem to want more information on this particular measure of efficiency. When this person asks, can you comment on the efficiency of usage of LBG for road transportation compared to traditional fossil-based fuel? We looked at the differences, but in terms of measuring efficiency differences, can you give us more information?
Maybe you are more engineer than I am, so you can talk about the efficiency in engines and so on. But if we really think about that what is the route to the carbon neutral society? There are of course bridges and ways of getting there. And when we talk about the gas, overall gas, which is of course the natural gas, renewable gas, and biogas, and adding the kind of like already taking the natural gas instead of diesel. You are reducing your emissions significantly already by doing that. And then gradually then adding to this chain biogas or another way of done renewable gas. You keep on constantly reducing the emissions throughout the life cycle of the process or your logistics and so on. But I would say that already the route for the cleaner society or carbon neutral future, we can start already with the natural gas when we are replacing the more fossil, more pollutant fuels, and then starting to add the biogas into that as well. And the difference between, obviously, with biogas and natural gas, there's no difference. They are exactly the same molecule, and that's efficiencies there. But comparing to the diesel engines and those.
Yeah, I think that
keep it under 1 minute, though. We don't want an engineering, lecture here. I'm just kidding.
And, of course, our other guests in this meeting, Volvo and Scania, they probably have the more right answer to this. But I think that what Johanna was alluding to, the bridging towards having available these amounts of biogas, that's also important.
Yes.
And there, the gas infrastructure needs to be utilized in an efficient way that is already existing. And then, I mean, bridging this with natural gas towards the years where we have the higher volumes available, that's something that needs to be taken into consideration also.
Kati, I have a question for you. It just came in.
For me. Thank you.
Yes. It relates to something that we discussed earlier about similar cases, but we can go even further when this person asks, what is the potential for biogas production also at other pulp mills in the Nordics and the world that could follow your example?
I think the potential must be quite big. I can't say exactly what it is, but it's, of course, every plant you have to look at case by case, I think, from both sides. Is there kind of good enough bio base to produce the biogas from? And what kind of investment would be? And I guess for Gasum as well, I would think that it's an evaluation of sites, what works the best. And I think for us the same. But we are definitely committed for similar type of partnerships elsewhere if we find a good setup for that.
All right. Well, we went through a lot of the questions are in a way repeating themselves. So I think those are the ones we had. But perhaps I would like to give the final word. You wanted to say something, Johan?
No, I was just thinking about Kati's comment here that now we have this great example of a plant that we need to ramp up and then show that this is an example that works well and the cooperation is already working well. So it's a great example and a reference for the rest of the industry.
Absolutely, and in every cooperation, this being a new one for both of us, you always learn. Yeah. And I think those learnings will help you then to take the next steps for sure. Absolutely. So we need more kind of different kind of initiatives to get further in different areas. So I think that is the way forward.
Yeah.
And to close our panel discussion, I'd like to ask all five of you, in this process, what was the greatest insight you obtained from participating in this collaboration? One insight from this exercise.
Can I start?
Please.
At least I was one of those who were in the early stages already, and I learned lots about the paper mill, definitely. And I guess
that you didn't know before.
Definitely not. And also the fact is that how great it is to when there are two companies whose target are the same and the goal is same, that how easy the cooperation then actually is. And that's special thanks to Stora Enso. Really, I think that shows that when there's a will, there's always a way.
Beautiful insight. Thank you. Kati.
Yeah, maybe for me afterwards that we kind of thought that, well, we use a lot of water, but we use the water, we clean it, it goes back to the source, we take it back and we clean it. And we kind of thought that there's not much more somebody can do with this water. And I think then realizing that actually it can be a raw material for somebody else. And by doing that together, we also enforce our sustainability performance and also bring that to our products. And I think kind of that realization, it's a great one, and it kind of opens your mind to think about other things as well that you may not have thought about. You think you do it already well yourself, but then combining and working with somebody else, you can do it even better. And you kind of expand the range you can have. So I think that's fantastic.
That is a clear example here. Thank you for that insight. Johan, your insight.
I think that this is a great example of generating a highly valuable product out of a certain stream that perhaps have not been used for that earlier. And in an integrate that is fairly large, And I'm sure that there are other circular type of examples in that integrate also, but I think that this is quite intriguing, and what kind of a market it has generated and the effects afterwards.
Gentlemen, Jonathan, Michael, your insights from this exercise.
Well, I can, from a mill perspective, I can say that my experience is that these kind of projects takes much longer than I anticipated. From when the idea was born till we could actually sign a contract and the biogas factory could be built, took much longer than I anticipated. But as already mentioned, with good cooperation from both companies and the will to succeed, we never gave up, we never must give up, and then we actually come to results. But my key takeaway from the project as such is it takes a lot longer than you might expect.
Thank you, Michael. Jonathan, the last insight is yours.
Right. Well, for me, it's a little bit a water into wine moment, really. So we have water into biogas, not quite the same. If someone had told me years ago that we'd be able to provide fuel from our process water, I would have questioned their sanity. And honestly, it just demonstrates how much you can do when you are committed to a subject and you work at it. And the dedication of the people in the mill working at it, the skills and knowledge from Gasum, totally fascinating and totally, it makes me so proud to be part of Stora Enso and working with Nymölla on this project. So fantastic, really, for me.
Water into wine. What a wonderful thought just before 1st of May festivities here in the Nordics. Thank you so much for those insights. Thank you all five for a great discussion. Thank you for being such tremendous speakers. Thank you, all of you, for tuning in to this very special inauguration event. And, well, let's stay vigilant in these times. Let's stay safe. Let's stay open-minded. And thank you so much to all of you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.